The world's preeminent business growth expert, Jay Abraham.
Jay is not human.
Jay showing you how to find more money. He's making it rain.
This is a man that you cannot afford to be without.
1-800-88-12345. This is the ultimate entrepreneur with Jay Abraham.
Hi, it's Paul Durante. This is a very important program. Today is like Independence Day for entrepreneurs. 1-800-88-12345. That's the ultimate entrepreneur hotline powered by Dial 800. Get more calls, more sales, more response with a custom memorable number like ours from dial800.com. They have amazing customer service. Jay.
Hello and welcome. Today is June 19th. Very momentous, propitious, auspicious day that will live in the annals of entrepreneurial history and investor history, probably next to nothing that has occurred in the last maybe 5 decades as significant. Hopefully I got your attention. Today is the day that Reg A Plus, a provision of the Jobs Act that was first initiated back in May of 2012, came into being. It has taken 3 years for today to happen. But what's going to happen after today is going to transform the both wealth creating, capital achieving, investment capability elements for a broad spectrum of different deserving entrepreneurs and investors all around the United States. Let me explain and set you up for what we honestly believe may turn out to be the most re-listened to segment we ever do of The Ultimate Entrepreneur. Here's why. The Jobs Act was created originally to help create jobs. How do you create jobs? You create jobs by starting businesses, by growing businesses, by allowing people who normally would be prohibited or constrained to invest in worthy businesses so that commerce occurs, so that capital is created to hire people, to add value to society, to introduce breakthroughs that transform the benefits the consumer gets and transforms the wealth that a cascading flow of different categories of people get. That's always been true, but up until today, an average investor who was not wealthy, who did not have a net worth of $1 million, was limited and prohibited from having access to most of the really important, intriguing, and high-performance business investment opportunities out there. Today, with certain provisions, and from today forward, you as an investor have the world as your oyster. And we're going to explain that to you throughout this session. Separately and delightfully, you that have a worthy business, preferably one that's already existing and profitable with predictable earnings record, but has been underperforming the true potential, the opportunity, the market expanse that you see because you've had a lack of resources, whether it be capital, expertise, technology, locations, human capital sales, IT, online skills, etc. Now you have the ability to, honest to goodness, raise for your business upwards to $50 million a year in a way that is so much less cumbersome, costly, and technical than it would have been any other time. Plus, you now have a way to turn your staff more loyal, your clients and prospects much more bonded and connected for life, your vendors not only are able to profit from your purchases, but to profit from your success and a multitude of other opportunities that we'll get into. This is a special edition. We have tried to compress into it an overview, a clarification, demonstration, illustrations, and a very dear and respected friend of mine, Peter Einstein, who has been part of the Jobs Act. We'll call it the serpentinian, if that word exists. It's gone up, it's gone down. Everyone expected different developments at different earlier times, but he has been a celebrated advocate, a deeply connected participant. He has a very, very significant platform that has probably the benefit all listening has been focusing and preparing itself to be the ultimate repository of knowledge, assistance for Reg A+. And he is connected to arguably the finest, most direct access minds and intelligence sources in the industry about this. He is going to be sharing his perspective. We've gotten probably the finest humanese legal mind on the subject to explain it from a lay term, but in very, very, very exciting terms, whether you want to invest in it or whether you want to be the beneficiary of the investment you can get. And I would say if ever there was a time to not multitask, it is on this session. If ever there was a time to deeply focus and listen clearly, it's today. And if ever there was a time, if you're in your car, to pull over and take notes, or if you're in a meeting, to postpone it or at least delay it, it is today. And all I can say is sit down and prepare for an immersion and an encounter with something that should positively and profitably impact everyone listening, no matter where you are right now on the continuum, because where you are today probably will be redefined by what you learn in the next 45, 60, 90 minutes, how long it goes, and the people you're introduced to. And in finality, when you're done listening, if we stimulate and animate your thinking deeply enough, if we profoundly liberate your sense of how much more now is possible for you, either as an investor or as a capital-raising, growth-oriented entrepreneur, we hope you will send us your thoughts, your questions, your perspectives, because we have the ability through Peter and through his network to get you access to an enormity of additional experts and front lines of players who are really deeply connected to what's really going to happen, so we can eliminate a lot of conjecture, we can eliminate a lot of superficiality. But right now, let's give you the ultimate short course introduction, and to our knowledge, you'll be able to look online, look at your business publication. It should be all over the news today, but to our knowledge, no one is trying to give you this actionable, at least first stage education the day it actually becomes legal. Get ready for the experience of honestly perhaps your business and investing lifetime.
Up next, Sam Guzik, nationally recognized thought leader on new capital raising.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
This show is all about becoming the ultimate entrepreneur. A mentor of mine once told me to make my life easier by doing the little things automatically, like buying the same socks and the same underwear at the same time from the same place, buy a whole bunch so you don't have to think about it. Where do you buy those products? MacWeldon.com. Think about it. The first thing we put on, the last thing we take off. If you've got great underwear, you feel great, great confidence. They have years of experience in crafting the very best underwear, shirts, and socks. MacWeldon.com, MacWeldon.com. Use the promo code ULTIMATE to get 20% off the entire order. And get this, Mack Weldon Silver. patented XT2 silver technology, originally designed for NASA, the U.S. Special Forces, and Olympic athletes. Silver in your underwear. You're like a superhero. Naturally antimicrobial, anti-odor. It's amazing. The silver particles are bonded to the Pima cotton. You're cool, you're dry, you feel great. MACKWELDON.com, MacWeldon.com, promo code ULTIMATE for 20% off the entire order.
The world's preeminent business growth expert, Jay Abraham. Jay showing you how to find more money. He's making it rain. 888-12345. This is The Ultimate Entrepreneur with Jay Abraham.
If there's anyone who knows the ins outs currently of Reg A Plus, it's going to be you. And I'd love you to take us on a little bit of a journey. And that journey would basically help entrepreneurs recognize, first of all, who it's correct for, what it's designed for, what the scope of possibility it represents, some of the implications that aren't necessarily good or bad, but are requirements. And I'll sort of ask questions in between and what you envision it might become and what it opens up for people who need capital to grow or exit or really, reach their potential. And if you start, and my style is a little interruptive, but it's not rude. It's just to clarify or advocate.
Well, I'm excited like a lot of other people who've been following Reg A Plus. We've had final rules which are gone into effect, and it's really an opportunity for a variety of companies to be able to access the public markets without spending an exorbitant sum, both on filing and going through a full IPO registration and then becoming a fully reporting public company. It's really groundbreaking in a way and something that's sorely needed. If you look at the statistics, we've had very few IPOs over the past few years. They tend to be the major big names that you hear about, like Google. And the smaller IPO market, under $50 million, is almost non-existent. And essentially what this means is that smaller companies who are either unattractive to VCs or who simply don't want to deal with all the strings that come attached with VCs have another path to raising capital. Companies who just simply want to get their shares in the hands of unaccredited investors, which is very difficult to do now without a full registration. And that would include...
It's profound, really, what the implication of that means.
Well, it's very profound because really, if you look at one of the biggest areas in Regulation A+, where it's, one of its sweet spots, is for companies that are tied into a network. Some people may use the term affinity group. That network could be their customer base. That network could be their distributors, their representatives. It could also be if you have a very high visibility or high profile person associated with the company, it's attaching into that network. So it really is more than just a way of raising capital. It's a way of a company basically promoting its brand and driving revenues for certain types of companies.
And Sam, it also probably is unintended, but probably a powerful way to bond loyalty, both in a buyer base, a supplier base, everybody. It's got a lot of interesting sort of subtle strategic implications too, don't you think?
Right. No, absolutely. And if you take a look at what Kickstarter's done to revolutionize the world since 2008, and you can see both the dynamics of that and the dollars involved. Pick an area like, example, consumer testing, where a company goes out, puts a product on.
Sure.
Kickstarter needs the funds to get into manufacturing, and that's an incredible way of not only validating the product but also generating a large buzz, and of course the financing. And of course what's come out of that is, and one of the reasons we have Reg A Plus today is a lot of those same people would not only want to buy the product, but they'd like to invest in the company to either show their support or to just get a financial benefit from its success. So that dynamic is very clearly going to be happening in the Reg A Plus market, which allows companies to go out and freely solicit and sell shares to the general public.
And I think that what's really incredible is that people now have a way of creating liquidity or creating at least value. They have a way of funding growth or acquisitions. I mean, it can be really cool depending on how possibility oriented these companies are. But will you give us a little profile, at least from your point of view, of what kind of a company would be most appropriate? And I know anybody can probably do it, but what do you think is this? How do you think it'll shake out in the beginning? Just conjecture.
Let me just make a couple of general statements. First of all, I think you're going to see a number of categories of companies. It's not going to be one kind of company. We're going to see niches develop. And in broad terms, any company that's looking to raise capital that, for example, a private placement doesn't work well for them, either because they don't want to be limited to accredited investors or